Good evening and welcome to the September 30th, 2020 meeting of the Delhi Township Board of Trustees. Welcome everyone in attendance tonight. Thanks for coming out. In a moment we will have the Pledge of Allegiance, and then after the Pledge of Allegiance, remain standing where we have a moment of silence. Our moment of silence, I was thinking as I drove in the lot, what would be the moment of silence? And so I'll probably get in trouble for saying this, so I'll go ahead and preface that already. I think our moment of silence should be for our country. You know, over the last 24 hours, and just my own personal opinion, kind of what we saw last night, and those that want to run this country, I think this country needs prayers. It needs to be a supportive country, a one nation under God country, where we are all together. The divisiveness and everything going on, it's just, this is not the time for that. So we pray for our country, we pray for our first responders, we pray for our frontline people dealing with COVID every day. That's major. And so that's our moment of silence. That'll be after the pledge. And just remember who we are and what this country is all about. And we truly are the best country in the world. There's no question. So let's not take it for granted and just try to be a little bit more loving, patient, and kind. Please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. Of course, we always thank our military, and especially those heroes that we call veterans. I know we have Commander Osterfeld, everyone in the house tonight, and so we thank our veterans too. It's just amazing, those that served and protect. So we will have the approval of the minutes, please. Mr. Luby.
Motion to approve the minutes from the Board of Trustees meeting held on September 9th, 2020, and dispense with the reading.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, motion is approved.
Motion to approve the payment of overtime for pay period ending 9/8/20 and 9/22/20.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes, motion's approved.
Motion to approve bills for payment.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Yes, motion is approved. Report continuing from the fiscal officer.
Resolution 2020-184, resolution amending appropriations for expenses, declaring an emergency and dispensing with the second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution.
Is there any discussion on this resolution?
Would you like me to tell you what it involves? So this is setting up a COVID fund. The auditor has come out with direction that any funds which we will receive and have received, which total right now $497,000 to offset costs related to COVID, has to have its own fund and be tracked there. So this is setting up that particular fund.
Very good. Any other discussion?
I move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes. Resolution passes.
Resolution 2020-185, resolution authorizing the township administrator to spend greater than $10,000 on behalf of the township, declaring an emergency and dispensing with the second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution.
Any discussion on the resolution?
I can tell you this particular expense, there's one expense for Terracon consultants. They do geotechnical work, so this is related to the mixed-use project at the Remke site. I think it's about $13,000.
Thank you. Any other discussion?
I move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes. Resolution passes. Trustee correspondence. Trustee Sturts.
Yes, I'd like to acknowledge in the audience tonight is William and Liam Eckhoff. Liam is a Boy Scout, and he's working on his Citizenship Merit Badge. So he's here to watch government in action firsthand. He's first class rank BSA, Boy Scouts of America. So those of you who are out there and have been in scouting, you know how important that one is. He is with Troop 483 from St. Dominic. So we welcome you tonight. Tomorrow he'll be here and we'll be, or Friday, I believe we said. Friday he'll be here and we'll be talking one-on-one about citizenship and what it means and so on and so forth to earn his citizenship merit badge. Easy for me to say. Secondly, I would love to congratulate Assistant Chief Jeff Braun. He has earned his master's degree in criminal justice. So he just walked in. Congratulations. Oh, no, that's not him. Sorry. Thought it was him. No, he didn't just walk in. But congratulations, Assistant Chief. For those of you in Delhi, you may not know it, but our chief has 2 master's degrees. So between our chief and our assistant chief of the police department, we have 3 masters. I don't think every township can say that, and we're very proud and we're glad to be able to boast that fact. And lastly, I've gotten a couple inquiries or calls about the excessive deer in the township. First of all, whatever disease came through wiped out a lot of them. But for those who have them still have a problem, they're killing their trees, they're rubbing their antlers on it, so on and so forth. They want to know if they can bow hunt Emshoff or Delhi Park or Story Woods. You can do Emshoff if you contact Hamilton County Parks. So our old department head, Josh Torbeck, is now at Hamilton County. Contact him about getting a bow license. Don't know if it's allowed at Emshoff. I'm just saying that would be the proper procedure to follow. We do not issue deer hunting licenses here. So we just wanted that to go on record that people don't go out and start shooting bows in our parks or guns even later as the season comes on. So even though they're beautiful animals in my eyes, I know some people are having problems with them. So thank you so very much for that.
Great, thank you. Trustee Seavey.
Yes, I'd like to first address a lot of questions that I had about the COVID numbers. They leave a lot to discuss, particularly with where the numbers are and what this means for Delhi Township. So Chief Campbell, during the fire department, will address a COVID update for all of us. But please understand that the information that we get is handed down to us from Hamilton County Public Health. So Doug is kind of our middle top guy for us to pass along the COVID information. A second request that continues to bubble to the top as we get into fall cleaning is, can Delhi please have another cleanup day? And the answer is, yes, we can. So all of us who have been looking at our garages and our basements as we were quarantined at home and thinking, I'd really like to clean this out, do it now, because November, I think, Danny, it's going to be the 7th? That's what we're going to shoot for. November the 7th, again, in the senior center lot, we will have a cleanup day. It's kind of the answer to being quarantined and looking around at things you'd really like to get rid of. So watch for more on our website concerning a cleanup day, November the 7th. And finally, some really happy news, and that's Halloween. And Halloween in Delhi Township is always Halloween, and it will be from 6 to 8. And of course, your children will be wearing masks. And be careful with the type of mask that they're wearing, because we're getting some direction that not all Halloween masks are COVID protective. So parents, please, we are relying on you to enforce the safety of your children to have Halloween. And that will be from 6 to 8 on Halloween. And one of our residents has come up with a great creative idea. We corresponded a little bit this afternoon. Her name is Candy Shannon, and she would like to know if you or a neighbor have a great Halloween display in your yard. She's going to put together a drive-around Halloween tour of Delhi Township. So I have her contact information. She's also on the, I think it's the Delhi Community, yeah, is that right, Janice? Yeah, Delhi Community site on Facebook. But we have her contact information, and I'll talk to Jack about putting something on the website about that. But what a great creative thought, because I have seen a lot of really fun Halloween displays, and she's going to put together a little tour that we can, kind of like the old ride around and look at the Christmas lights. So we'll be putting that out for you then too. So thank you, Candy, for having this creative thought and sharing it with all of us. We'll all enjoy Halloween safely. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Trustee Seavey. I'm going to talk at just one of the correspondences that I received, and maybe you all received it, but when we read through it, it was how many times we kind of thought about this and talked about this along the journey, and that's when you see the gas prices at the gas stations. And how do we just go 3 minutes down the road and it's $1.99, and yet right here on Delhi Pike it's $2.29 and $2.26. It gets old. And so we thought we would take a time out and actually dig in and say, and look at how that, what to do when we all kind of, I'm not going to say all of us, but many of us have the same thoughts, like why is Delhi paying more for gas than, again, right down the road, or everyone knows to just go right down Anderson Ferry to UDF where it's cheaper down there, but yet it's 20-some cents more expensive here. So that being said, those that send emails in, we're just going to talk for a minute or two about this, the best way, who handles that, the best way to launch a complaint, and we'll go from there. Jack, you want to start, or do we?
Well, there's a resource folks can utilize, and it's ohioprotects.org, and it's through the Attorney General's office. So if you have a complaint regarding something consumer related, and certainly a price gouging complaint would qualify for that, this is your best resource to complain and have some sort of action take place. It isn't something the township regulates or can affect or do something about. I mean, we commiserate with you if that is, if the prices are higher here, but that's their best resource. It's not a township level thing to affect a change in that regard.
ohioprotects.org.
Yes.
Thank you.
ohioprotects.org. Looks like what's on the screen.
Yeah. Okay.
It's not on the screen.
Right.
It's all right. You can point to the blank screen,
Well,
but
I don't know why it's not on the screen.
Ruh-roh.
Okay, ohioprotects.org. It's on my screen, and it looks really nice at the moment.
Yep.
Technology.
Very good. And we appreciate that. And like I said, we get the emails. Many of us see the same things and kind of check into it. But that would be something, if a lot of people are noticing the same thing and people say something, maybe that would make a difference. I always thought it was incredibly ironic that Kroger's and Shell and Speedway all have the exact same price, but other things change, so there you go.
Chairman Davis, I have a
Yeah.
question. Trustee Seavey, are you or is the DBA going to be contacted to see if they're doing their shredding the same day that we're doing the cleanup?
I have not talked to the DBA, but we certainly would like to include them if that's possible for a shred day.
Right.
Let's find out, and we'll also post that on the website as well.
I don't want
That would
people
be
to
great if
assume.
I know that there's a cost involved with that shred truck, so
Right.
we'll have to wait and see.
Okay, thank you.
But good point.
And talking about the Halloween displays and maybe even Christmas displays, maybe if Candy was looking at that also, and I know we've all talked about, it's funny over the last, I don't know how long, that one thing that's changed in Delhi, the intersection there at Anderson Ferry in Delhi, just knocking the building down and securing the property and doing those things, and now you see grass, and actually, wow, it's just really nice. But how great that would be if you had the Halloween display or Christmas display there that really was kind of a neat holiday thing. So maybe that'll all be part of it. So I know people are talking or asking about it, but maybe a business association or somebody out there would love to decorate that area. Yeah. Hint, hint, hint. That being said, Public Works.
Resolution 2020-186, resolution awarding bid 2 and authorizing the Township Administrator to enter into a contract with Harrison Excavating and Hauling for the demolition of property project Phase 3, specification number 2020-RRD number 3, the project, declaring an emergency and dispensing with the second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution.
Discussion, please, Mr. Riverter.
Thank you, trustees. This is one of the final steps that need to be in place before we make offers to the first 5 residents. The first 5 appraisals have just been completed and approved by the state. So the next step is we're actually working with the law director today to go over the final documents, make sure they're good to go. This needed to be in place, and then we'll sit down at a very large table and go over some offers. As far as the demo contract, it's awarded to Harrison Excavating and Hauling. He's actually here. He actually had the big contract in Phase 2 also. So we have worked with him before, and he's also a Delhi resident. I didn't know if you wanted to say anything, or?
I just was going to say that I'm Todd Harrison, and I think we did, 10 of them the last time?
It's 10 or 12, yeah.
Yeah, and anyway, we'll get it done again. It'll look like it looks down there now.
Good.
So anyway, I live in Delhi, and my business is in Delhi, so got a few pieces of property. So anyway, I know some of you, and it'll all be good.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Any other discussion?
I move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes. Resolution passes. Fire Department, Chief Campbell.
Thank you, trustees. So as Trustee CV had alluded, that I was just going to do a real quick update on the COVID. Since the last time I was up here, I spoke a little bit about how we receive the numbers. We are dependent on public health. I mean, ultimately, these numbers don't come from anywhere else but public health. And the reason for informing, it's through the Ryan Act. Allows first responders to know that there's a COVID case there and can appropriately suit up. But again, like I told you last time, we treat everybody as if they have it. So on the 18th, as the numbers started coming in, I noticed that we were getting what I would consider a remarkable spike on the east side of the township. Reached out to Commissioner Kesterman, asked him if there was anything he was seeing, maybe something we could share with our residents that would support what we were seeing, because I don't get ages, I don't get male, female. So he got back with his epidemiologist and at the time stated, we're not seeing any one event. You're past the 20 to 29-year-olds in college, that your spike was a week ago or 2 weeks ago. However he phrased it, he said, if you're still concerned and we're still seeing the trend, come back to me. We'll look at it a little bit deeper. We'll have more numbers and things like that. At the time, they weren't seeing anything that they were considering significant. And I told him, I said, it's relative. I can see other jurisdictions remaining flat or decreasing, and here we have a little spike. What could it be? So no answer at that point in time. Came back to him here just in the last day or two, said, it's still, we're not seeing the spike, but it's still, we're getting regular cases still on that side of town. Do you have any other information for me? So he did provide me the demographic background on that. Two of the highest age groups, 18 to 29 and 50 to 59. By my calculations, just common sense tells you, it's the kids and their parents. So he did support the statistics from the standpoint that this is just September. So we had Labor Day, we have school starting up. Those kind of things are jumping it. Those are what we're seeing nationwide. Nothing to freak out about. Supporting these numbers and looking at it with these age breakdowns. The good news is, out of all the cases that we do, we have, by my reports, about 130 cases on that side of town that are active. Only 3 are hospitalized. I think I did mention the last time we are transporting more residents now. I think originally we weren't seeing a lot of residents that required our assistance or transport. That is changing a little bit, but the virus is changing a little bit as well, so that may have something to do with it. So ultimately, his exact wording is, case numbers are remaining relatively low, and most of them are 5 cases a day, 3 cases a day, but it only takes one true case to kind of bring a whole family to their knees, because it literally, we've got households where 4 or 5 people have it in the same household. So it's to be expected. This is how this spreads, and ultimately, we are taking the precautions. We see it every day, and people are taking it seriously. However, I think it's important from a public health perspective is if we see something, we ask, those that have the information. And at this time, really, I don't have anything more definitive to tell you as far as reason, but we'll keep looking at it.
Well, I think that's more information than looking at the graph, so we appreciate the specifics a little bit better. I am very appreciative of the businesses on Delhi Pike and what they've done with the masking and the sanitizer, and I really feel like the township's doing a real yeoman's job of kind of abiding by and following the rules and trying this. So to hear that we're not highly infected. We've still got cases, but could be a lot worse. And I just say, keep up the good work.
Yeah, and it pains me to say that the fire department won't be participating in Halloween this year. Ultimately, it's something that we've always looked forward to. We have that nice station in Greenwell. It's attached to the community. Residents come over. There's lines around the corner, people pulling up and stuff. But ultimately, we recognize the risk that puts our personnel in. And we definitely need them on the streets. I can't have them getting sick and taking the risk. So we'll call do-over next year. I'm very hopeful
That's
that we
fair.
can take up
That's
front
fair.
there. So, yeah, folks, do not expect us to be passing out candy this year. It's just
Okay.
not going to be doable.
Well, the last thing we need is our first responders to go down.
Certainly. All right. Any questions?
Thank you, Chief. No.
Okay, thank you.
Parks and Recreation?
I have nothing on the agenda today, but I just letting you know what we're doing with the opening of the Lodge and Senior Center's Community Center. Potentially have meetings set up for October 13th. We're going to go with meetings for now. We're getting the paperwork in order for the opening of them. Eventually the events, because they have specific requirements, and I believe that our Senior Center facility and lodge are basically set up for like a type of mingling and self-service. Generally, that's what everybody does, but it needs to have a catered event. You have to stay seated. You have to have masks on. So, in order to have that, our lodge is not typically set up for that. So, we're working on all the aspects right now, and also we're trying to divert more of the meetings right now to the lodge instead of the senior center for cleaning, sanitizing purposes, and saving on money. That's about it right now. We're just working on more paperwork. So. With everything going on, it's hard to get everything set and get into operation. So, if there's any questions, let me know.
As it still stand with the Delhi seniors, I understand the president and the leadership there decided not to open up until after the first of the year for their meetings.
Yeah, they had a board meeting at the park, and they voted 6-4 to shut down for the year. They're talking right now, trying to figure out if that's a official meeting they had, and they're coming back to us, and we're still trying to get it along with Hamilton County Public Health. We're still working with Corey. So as of right now, they are still closed. As we know, they've already came to me and said that they are not operating till January 1.
So you're trying to figure out if their meeting that they had in the park, if they're trying to figure out if that was their official meeting?
Yes, they, as the rule goes, I was notified that they didn't take the proper precautions, calling roll, everything, every specifics. And they're working on that right now. I told them they have to work on their group and their board to figure out what they're doing.
Good.
So,
But our veterans are going to be back there in October, right?
yes, that's what we're scheduled for, October 13th. We moved them from the community center to the lodge for
That's great.
cleaning. And I'm also working with them on their November Veterans Day event We're trying to get that scheduled. I'm working with Jeff Leffler, and me and him are going to work together, and we're going to get everything set. I would say minus a few people because there are new names going on the wall. So,
Great.
yep.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, just a little bit of clarification, because we do get a few calls in regard to the senior group. They're an independent group that leases space at that building. So they're their own group. It's not something we're regulating, and I think they're trying to figure out, 6-4 vote. Some were, they're trying to figure out did they have a real meeting or not. But one of the things I think folks need to understand is there's a testing requirement for senior groups being active, so that seemed to be a very onerous thing for them to bite off, meaning you have to get tested so frequently. So anyway, just to clarify, because we did receive a few calls about that they are an independent group that uses the building.
Yeah. Yeah, because of those rumblings in the community, it wasn't a township thing. We did our due diligence to make sure we could open that up, and that's why I'm
did our
thrilled the
homework.
veterans and others will be doing their thing. It's awesome. It's a shame that the seniors didn't.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll let it go at that. Police Department, resolution.
Resolution 2020-187, resolution entering into two collective bargaining agreements with the Delhi Police Association members within the bargaining units, declaring an emergency and dispensing with the second reading.
I move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution.
Discussion, please. Chief Howarth.
I'd like to thank the trustees and Jim and Jack. And we got this done in 2 meetings, I guess, Zoom meetings, which was unusual. First time we've ever done that. Went well. Had breakout rooms, probably about an hour and a half, 2 different sessions, and got it done. So I got word today at 3:30 they had a meeting, and 3:35 they came in, and so they voted unanimous on it. So we appreciate everybody's help, and that'll carry us out for 3 years. So.
Awesome.
Wonderful.
Great work. Any other discussion?
I move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Chairman, if I could mention a few more things.
Sure.
Up here real quick. As far as Halloween, like Chief Campbell mentioned, Police Department also will be participating by being out in the neighborhoods and being visible. But we will not be handing out candy. It's not uncommon to pull up, turn on our lights, stop, and have 50 kids swarm the cars. So for our protection, for the kids' protection, we won't be doing that this year, unfortunately. But we will be out there. Lights visible. We'll just be moving and not stopping. Also, with that being said, I'd like to thank everybody for coming in and grabbing a sign. We love our police. We've given out every one that we have, 1,300 of them. I sat there today with tick marks every time I heard somebody come in or make a phone call to the front office wanting one, and I ended up with 42 of them from about 8 to 5 today. So not everybody got one. A lot of people I know are stealing their neighbors. So if yours is gone, check your neighbor's yard because they might have one. So,
Right.
but we appreciate the support, and it's nice to see. And finally, this is the last time you'll see this uniform. Actually, at a trustees meeting tomorrow, starting October 1st, we'll be in a whole different uniform. So you'll notice that tomorrow. Same department, same officer, same service, just a different color shirt. It'll be black. Just goes better with the new outer carrier that's come about and stuff, and blends in a little bit more and will look sharp. So I just wanted to give you a heads up. You'll see that starting tomorrow morning, 7 o'clock.
Oh, nice.
So we appreciate it.
Awesome.
It's a long time since we've had these. A lot of history in them. So you don't always like to see that because it is history. I'd like to get a mannequin, maybe put one on in the lobby, and display that, what it's been since 1963. So
Fun.
it's a big change, but
Yeah.
a lot of history.
Well, one of the, I think, gems of Delhi Township has always been our safety services. And I know everyone says thank you and everything for what you do, but no, honestly, thank you just for getting everything with the collective bargaining, with the jobs that your entire department does, and fire's included with this also. It really is second to none in what you do. And my apologies on behalf of myself and so many, the bad rap, if you could, and I'll say it, that the police officers and such around this country have received over the last several months is ridiculous. Yeah, every once in a while, there's one that's, obviously, there's an issue and a problem, but that is a slim, slim number, and Delhi is so blessed with incredibly dedicated men and women who protect us 24/7, and I'll tell you what, I don't know what else to say. Thank you, you know.
That's what made the response to the signs so amazing.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
Believe it
the
was-
fact that all this negativity, all this stuff about the police, and then Delhi comes and rallies to their police to the tune of 1,300, 1,400 signs in yards, it just says so much.
Right, right.
Yeah.
You can add 2 more to your count today, because I received a phone call, or I saw somebody, and they wanted to know where to get them, yeah. Chief, could you also, explain about the new vest? Because a comment was made on social media about how there must have been a really important thing going on at a certain address, whatever it be, because they had their bulletproof vests on. Can you explain, they've always worn a vest, but it was underneath, and now that they're outside?
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, you'll see, this isn't anything new that we started. It's been going across the country. It's all getting the weight off the belt more and getting it up top. So, at first, I didn't really care for the look. I'm not going to lie, because it looks a little more tactical. But I think we can do it in a professional manner. Unfortunately, we couldn't get a gray one to match the colors of our shirts. They weren't making those. Otherwise, we would have wanted the gray outer carrier. So no, we've always had them on. Actually, it's mandated, it's policy that you have one on. It's just you never saw it. It was under our uniform. Now that's what you're seeing on the outside. It's getting everything out off the belt except the main things: a firearm, in your radio, getting it up here. So 20 years from now, when I'm not standing up here, you wonder if people have neck issues from carrying it all up top. You don't know, but at least it's getting off the belt and helping the lower back, getting the handcuffs, getting things off the small of the back from back there when they're riding around in the cars.
And they'll be less noticeable with the black on black, as
Exactly.
opposed to the black on the gray shirts. So that's, again, that was
Yeah,
one
for
thing.
us
It's like,
bigger
this must
people,
be
it might
really,
look a little
yeah.
better, and not the gray sticking out
Right.
the bottom of the
Yeah.
vest. So
And I don't know if you wanted to talk about it or not, but did you want to talk about that donation you received, or are you going
Yeah,
to do that
I
at
mean,
a later time?
yeah, I mean, we'll maybe do that at a later time. But DCPA received a real generous gift in the amount of $25,000 from a resident that owns a business outside of Delhi, but does a lot of business throughout the whole tri-state area. So for that, we're very grateful that they acknowledge. And ironically, that's about the money that they spent on the uniforms that I just mentioned. DCPA paid just shy of $20,000 for those uniforms for everybody to switch over and start. Everybody switched over on the same day. And they spent a little over than $5,000 for the signs. So it's kind of how things
What a
worked out.
blessing.
Yeah, so it was a blessing that we received that. Very nice.
All right.
Great news.
Thank you to that citizen who will later be mentioned and honored.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very good. Administration resolution, please.
Resolution 2020-036, resolution updating and introducing a light-duty police to Article 5 benefits of the Delhi Township amended and restated summary of policies dated January 1st, 2014, declaring an emergency and dispensing with a second reading.
First of all, it wasn't police, it's light-duty policy, guys. It doesn't do just the police, just so everybody knows out there.
Sorry.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution.
Discussion on this resolution, please. Mr. Cameron?
Sure. Everything's about police tonight, Jim. Your night, buddy. We didn't, I think it might be appropriate to step back and make sure people realize, in a minute, you guys approved 2 contracts with the police. But there's a lot of work leading up to that. And I just want to make sure people recognize with some of these things, we have a light duty policy that we've had a lot of dialogue about. And what that does is it lets people perform work at the office that's not their regular task. Typically, it's police and fire related because they have to be, doctor has to say they're okay to work because there's a physical requirement and life safety involved. But if they're hurt or if they get hurt on their own, this will allow them to be able to perform work that's needed in the office and still get paid and not just hit their sick time or some other bank of time. So it's kind of a trade-off. I'd say it's a bit of a win-win, and it's more of a voluntary thing if you want to save your sick time and the work's available. Relating to the police contract, there was a lot of thought in that contract to how do we organize. We anticipate moving forward, police officers are going to be harder to recruit. So we were attacking that issue and some other issues, and credit to the police unions. There's two of them, the sergeants and corporals, and then the patrol officers. So they did a great job and were very reasonable, and we easily worked through the discussions and got agreement on these things. So credit to the board and those folks and the chief and assistant chief for that. But anyway, so this light duty policy and the next one, and I'll let you guys talk about the next one if you'd like, are kind of attacking overall things and affecting different aspects of recruiting and retention that are important for us.
Thank you. Any other discussion?
I move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes. Resolution passes.
Resolution 2020-188, resolution updating and introducing a pregnancy paid leave policy to Article 5 benefits of the Delhi Township amended and restated summary of policies dated January 1st, 2014, declaring an emergency and dispensing with a second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution.
Any discussion on this resolution?
I can walk through this one too if you'd like, or if one of you want to.
We'll pick up. Go ahead and
Okay.
introduce it, and then we'll.
Okay, so this is something we currently do not have. It is a pregnancy paid leave policy, so it is an added benefit to anybody who's pregnant, and they can have up to 8 weeks of paid leave that don't hit their sick time bank or vacation bank. So, again, this is one of those things targeting, an issue that we've seen and we need to address, and others are addressing it. But I will say I don't know that this policy exists other places. This is a more standalone kind of thing that Delhi is doing. So I think that's a good thing.
Thank you. And I think it does come down to the competitive recruiting that we're talking about, and the pull that's out there that the chief has to try and get qualified men and women in here to serve this community. Lots of times it goes maybe to the highest bidder, and so you're trying to be competitive with your salaries, benefits, things like that. I know on our force, I believe we have 2 female police officers. Is that what we're down to now? So we have 2. So you do have to, as we say, be somewhat competitive. What is it that attracts you to Delhi? What is it? I think certainly, the safety of our officers and the incredible leadership that we have here, but there's other tangible things also, such as benefits and things. And so I hope we're not. I hope we are the only ones that have gone to this, and we put Delhi on the radar for all those that are looking to protect and to serve. And especially here, as far as with the females, to have this policy, it's a great day. I really, for lack of other words, it's a great policy. Trustee Sturts.
But it's not just the police, correct?
On the pregnancy leave.
Yeah, on pregnancy leave. It's across the board.
A township-wide policy.
Township-wide, right. Both of these are township-wide. So, how many female fire personnel do we have? We have 1, okay? So maybe it will attract more females there, and then so on and so forth. Parks, I know we don't have anybody out there cutting grass, but we have women on, So we have them at all of our departments. So, it started with the police because the discussions were here, but it's across the board, and, bless us for doing it. It's just not been a policy, so.
It tends to be police and fire more intense because
Correct.
they have to go offline medically
Correct.
for these things. So that's, if somebody's in the office, they can work
Right.
pretty
Up
much
to
until
whatever,
they're ready to
yeah.
go. But it applies to everyone. It could be after as
Right.
well, after you have the baby too.
Right.
Post-pregnancy.
It's 8 weeks before, after, whatever, right?
You can piece together, however, you could add the light duty to it to keep your time covered as well. So it just adds another piece to being able to save your time, or if you're newer and don't have enough time, to be able to be covered and continue to be paid.
Great.
Thank you.
Trustee Seavey, anything?
Well, Jack Cameron mentioned the amount of work that went into the contract for the police department. There was equally as amount of work that went into getting these two policies done as well. And I really appreciate everybody's input into how we could do this that would be beneficial to all of our township employees. And I'm glad that we have a good product to offer, a competitive product to offer. And so I hope with our next opening, that cinches the deal.
Amen.
We hope.
Very good. Any other discussion?
I move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes, resolution passes.
Resolution 2020-189, resolution declaring certain property no longer needed for public use, obsolete, and unfit for the use acquired, authorizing sale by internet auction and disposal thereof, declaring an emergency and dispensing with a second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution.
Any discussion on the resolution?
I move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes, resolution passes. Community development, please. Mr. DeLong.
Mr. Davis,
What?
I had a couple things to highlight. You want me to do that now, or?
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, Greg.
So we have questions arise from time to time, and especially when electric rates start to move around. We get a lot of calls about the aggregation program, and I still can't get it on the screen. Anyway, we have an aggregation program, and our electric rate is going to be updated in December, as well as the gas, so people are getting letters. Currently, our rate is 5.49 cents per kilowatt hour. That's comparable to, I think Duke is right around that same rate. Just depends on the month, but they're in that high 5.4 range. We will change to 5.28 in June of 2021, so our rate will go down to 5.28. And those are fixed rates, and that is an opt-out program, which means if you're an eligible Delhi resident or small business that doesn't use beyond a certain amount of electric, you will be in the program and get a notice to say, I want out. This is a program that you can get in and out of without any termination fee. So if you're in it and you see a better price, you are welcome to jump out at any time. There's no termination fee. You can get back in it. Natural gas is the same way. And I'm going to have to look at what our gas rate is. The gas is a little bit, it's a fixed rate, but it is a ceiling, so it doesn't go above the 0.396 dollars per cubic foot. And Duke is actually a little bit lower than that right now. They have a gas cost recovery that you pay, so Duke is currently beating our price, which is not good. Ours is a fixed rate that doesn't go above that, and it can go down a little bit if the market goes down, but it is not a variable rate. It doesn't follow the market. So if people want to look at other pricing, they're welcome to get out at any time. Ours is a stability factor for the natural gas. Currently, the market's down a little bit, so we end up getting beat some months on the price. Any questions, they can certainly call the office, and it's on our website if you go into the resources section. But I don't know if you all have any questions, but that's the general gist of our programs.
No. Cheryl, anything?
No, thank you.
Rose?
Thank you, Jack,
Thank
because
you.
I know I've talked to you about some questions that came to me, so this helps a lot.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And then I have one other item to give a quick update on, and it is our project. So the Remke site, Delhi Mixed Use Project, we still have to give it a catchy little name, which we haven't yet. So we have gotten through our public engagement sessions. We are moving forward with our schematic design. The way these projects work out is you do schematic design, then design drawings, and then construction drawings, and then it goes out to bid. We expect, and we're pushing to have an April 1st groundbreaking for construction for the new product. That's somewhat of an accelerated process, but we've had a couple schematic design meetings with Elevar and Branstetter Carroll, who's our lead architect, and we'll work through, right. If you've seen the drawings on our site, they're just shells. So this puts the inside of the buildings and really finalizes the sizing and where things are and how big those areas have to be. We will still need to engage a construction management firm, which we're going to put out an RFQ to do that here soon, and they will run the project for us. I won't get any more detailed than that. Demolition is going to begin as soon as the utilities are able to be shut off. That's a bit of a process, so people may have seen the fencing around the site, and for those who have gone to Verve or understand Verve Fit, unfortunately the timing didn't work just perfect with them, so I think they're in a temporary mode, but we'll be back and operating next to Wishbone down at the, Del Fair
Town Center.
Center. So demolition pricing came in much lower than we anticipated, so that was a pleasant surprise. And then we've had a group working with Mr. Steck and Midtown Health on some of the cultural components and programming components. So there was people residents and others who identified themselves as interested and in that cultural world. So they've had a meeting and we'll have a follow-up to try and help define what really we could target for the spaces, once we get up and running and our programming, scheduling things.
So on our website, people can go and look at the drawings, the renderings, correct? And there's two different sets. There's the one that we originally start working with, which is from, what date is on that one? Is that?
So
And then we have the one in August that is more to what we're doing now. The first one has all these different buildings.
So our website, on the very front page, you can click the drawing and go into a page that kind of gives you more detail, and then it's got a track of different things. One is the Plan the Pike document, if you wanted to go back and look at that. Then the conceptual drawings from October of 2019, which was kind of the first day. And then July of 2020, which is what we're working from now.
Okay.
So all of that is out there if you care to go look at it. One thing I would like to do and I anticipate doing is having some, call it a webcam or some sort of, you can go and look at the progress at any time. If you can't sleep, you can watch it all night long. And so I want to do some things that help people see this and be excited about it, and others do it, and maybe a tracking of status, like here's the timeline of things and what happened, a more detailed, but that's still to be worked out. So I anticipate we'll have some of that, but yes, you can go see that on our website, and both sets of drawings are out there as well as some other pieces of information.
Thank you.
Thank you. Community Development, please, Mr. DeLong.
Resolution 2020-190, resolution certifying a violation abatement expenses at 4301 Del Ryan Drive, 421 Leith Avenue, 186 Francis Ridge Drive, 328 Bob Drive, 5433 Cleves-Warsall Pike to the County Auditor for assessment, declaring an emergency and dispensing with a second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution.
Any discussion on the resolution?
Sure. These are 5 properties that we had you guys previously declared nuisances. We went in and abated them. They range in assessment values from $505 to $635 for a total of $2,916.50 that we will file with the county auditor, and they will be placed in the property owner's taxes.
Great, thank you. Any other discussion?
I move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Yes, Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes, resolution passes.
Resolution 2020-191, resolution declaring nuisance for excessive vegetation at 4315 Foley Road, declaring an emergency and dispensing with the second reading.
I introduce, move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution.
Any discussion?
Sure, I'll just hit all the next 10, actually. We originally started with 14 total. Thanks to our zoning inspector, he was able to have 4 removed today. So there has been some attempts on some of these property owners to clean them up, but they're still in violation. I will note that 6 of these next 10 have, or I should say 9, had, we've already seen them in front of you guys this year. 2 of them we have seen twice. 1 we have seen 3 times, and 3 others we have seen 4 times. Just to give you an idea of what our department has been handling this year, and we are right now sitting at about 935 complaints on the year. So, but if you have any questions as you're running through these, please let me know.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other discussion?
I move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Yes, Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes, resolution passes.
Resolution 2020-192, resolution declaring nuisance for excessive vegetation at 4301 Del Ryan Drive, declaring an emergency and dispensing with the second reading.
I introduce, move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution.
Any discussion on this resolution?
I move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Yes, Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes, resolution passes.
Resolution 2020-193, resolution declaring nuisance for excessive vegetation at 5108 Rapid Run Road, declaring an emergency and dispensing with the second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution.
Any other discussion on this resolution?
I move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes, resolution passes.
Resolution 2020-194, resolution declaring nuisance for excessive vegetation at 5118 Rapid Run Road, declaring an emergency and dispensing with the second reading.
I introduce, move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the motion to the adoption of this resolution.
Any other discussion on this resolution?
I move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Yes, Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes, resolution passes.
Resolution 2020-195, resolution declaring nuisance for excessive vegetation at 5540 Rapid Run Road, declaring an emergency and dispensing with the second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution.
Any discussion on this resolution?
I move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Yes, Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes, resolution passes.
Resolution 2020-196, resolution declaring nuisance for excessive vegetation at 6009 Hickory Tree Drive, declaring an emergency and dispensing with the second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution. Do we have a
I s-
picture? Sorry, okay. Go ahead.
Okay, I second the, I second the adoption of this resolution.
Any other, any discussion on this resolution?
I move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Yes, Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes, resolution passes.
Resolution 2020-197, resolution declaring nuisance for accumulated debris at 4303 Mount Verna Road, declaring an emergency and dispensing with the second reading.
I introduce, move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution.
Any discussion on this resolution?
I move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes. Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes?
Mr. Davis?
Yes, resolution passes. Greg, what was the deal with this one?
It's just a big old pile of cut limbs.
Okay, so that's actually cut.
Yeah, it's
Okay, that's
cut
not
limbs.
something
It's
just
right at the
growing.
intersection of Paul Road and Mount Alverno.
Okay. Okay.
Compost pile?
Oh.
Nothing.
Right, someone's in the street, so.
Yeah.
Resolution
I think that's
passes.
Resolution 2020-198, resolution declaring nuisance for excessive vegetation and accumulated debris at 425 Moorview Drive, declaring an emergency and dispensing with a second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution.
Any discussion on this resolution?
If I can make a quick note, just for residents, if you're setting furniture out or mattresses by the curb for pickup, you need to have them wrapped. Your waste provider will not pick them up unless they're properly protected. So we do have a lot of these that happen throughout the community. I think they just put them out by the curb thinking they're going to take them, and they don't. Or they're hoping for, I guess, somebody else to pick it up for them.
If they can wait till November 7th
That'd
for
be
our
awesome.
Delhi cleanup day.
There you go.
There you go. Just bring them right up.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's something I know some don't know. They put it out and, but they do have to be wrapped or, Remke.
And to also notify your trash provider that
Yeah.
you have a pickup, so.
Uh-huh.
Very good.
I move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes. Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes?
Mr. Davis?
Yes, resolution passes.
Resolution 2020-199, resolution providing for the removal of a junk motor vehicle at 519 Mantola Avenue, declaring an emergency and dispensing with a second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution.
Any discussion on this resolution?
I move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes. Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes?
Mr. Davis?
Yes, resolution passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. This is a time where we would have public comments. I have nobody signed in for tonight. Anyone care to address the board at all? Anything going on? Okay. Assistant Chief, do you want to talk a little bit?
Yeah, he has a mask on, I'm sorry.
Very good. Announcement of community events.
The Delhi Historical Society, the virtual program, the Lick Run Greenway in South Fairmont will be Monday, October 12th, and it will be from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. The program will be presented on Facebook Live. The Schools of Delhi Township exhibit will be now through Tuesday, November 24th. The museum is open on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays, and that will be from 12:30 to 3 at the Wittestatter Farmhouse Museum at 468 Anderson Ferry Road. Western Wildlife Corridor Fall Foliage Fest will be Saturday, October 17th from 10 a.m. to noon. The morning hike at Kirby Nature Preserve. From 2 p.m. to 4 p.m., the afternoon hike at Bender Mountain. And 9:30 to 5 p.m., the native plant sale at Kirby Nature Center. The cost is $10 per person. We Thrive Community Health Assessment Presentation will be Tuesday, October 20th from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m., and that will be at the Glen Carter Lodge at 5125 Foley Road, in person and on Zoom. The High Branch Library Homeschool Virtual Book Club, Finn, and the Intergalactic Lunchbox by Michael Buckley will be Wednesday, October 21st from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m., and that will be a Zoom meeting. Suggested ages are 9 through 12. Hamilton County Household Hazardous Waste Drop-Off event is Saturday, October 24th from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. It will be in Norwood. The specific location will be provided after registration. Halloween trick-or-treating hours will be Saturday, October 31st from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Tuesday, November 3rd, 2020, presidential election upcoming deadlines and reminders. October 5th is the last day to register to vote or update your name or address in person at the Board of Elections, at the BMV locations, and the public library. October 6th is voting early in person, begins at Hamilton County Board of Elections. And October 31st is the deadline to request absentee ballot by mail. You must fill out and submit an absentee application to get your ballot mailed to you. The Delhi Veterans Blood Drive, hosted by Delhi Veterans in cooperation with the Delhi Township Board of Trustees, will be Thursday, November 5th from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. It will be at the Delhi Senior Community Center at 647 Neeb Road. All donors will receive a $10 e-gift card. The Veterans Day ceremony will be Sunday, November 8th from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. It will be hosted by the Delhi Township Veterans Association, and the ceremony will be streamed live on Facebook. That's all we have.
Thank you. We have a shout out today. Shout out goes to C.O. Harrison. Congratulations on a blue ribbon school.
Oh, good.
Yes, that's awesome. Saw that a day or two ago. So congratulations. There is a lot that goes into that. I know, Rose, you remember from St. Dominic's and beyond. A lot of paperwork, a lot that goes into it. And so how awesome is that? C.O. Harrison, congratulations. And a big shout out to teachers also. I tell you, I got to teach, and I know you were a teacher. Teachers, what you've got going on right now, you're in our prayers and thoughts, you know, from homeschool to, I thought of this when saw the homeschool book club at the library and everything going on where they're trying to teach the students, trying to battle COVID, and how long are we going to be in? Are we going to, you know, it's crazy, but keep doing what you're doing, take it one day at a time, right?
Right.
Amen. Okay, well, that's all we have.
I had something to add, if that's all right. I should have said it during the project update, but recognize that the school board on Monday approved their TIF resolution, which is a big piece of this project in the partnering, solidifying the partnership. So thank the school board members, treasurer, superintendent for that step. That's a big step for us. That's a big recognition that they're in this with us. So thank you to them.
Amen.
Good.
Yep.
Absolutely. Okay, well, we will entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting, if you would.
With no further business to be brought up in front of the board, I make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
I second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes. Motion is approved. Our next meeting is Wednesday, October 14th, 2020. October 14th. Thanks for coming out, everyone.